So, we used to say that we could solve the world's problems over a batch of dough. And so we're going to see what kind of world problems we can solve today. These videos are live, so they might get abruptly cut in the event that I have a customer or the phone rings or something like that, because I work. I'm not just sitting down in the studio, although I have built a studio. And now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yo, I could go back and use that for this, but it's a totally different vibe. And honestly, my thoughts work better when I'm doing stuff. And that's why, like, that's part of the magic of the dough, is that, like, you end up with an active, it's a small project that you're moving, you're kind of thinking, but it's kind of mindless because you're just weighing out the dough. And look, you're also gonna get to see how dough gets made behind the scenes. We did a how to stretch a pizza video. There's gonna be more of those coming, of course, because it's really where my forte is. So I'm gonna be having everybody make pizzas at home. Y'all with the wood fire ovens, those dope backyard ones. Shout out you, good for you. I know the unis are going around. They're pretty cool. I've heard good things about them. I have a couple of friends who have them. You know, we're all just pizza people out here in New York. It's like the whole fucking state's not made of concrete, it's made out of pizza, at least as far as I'm concerned. But probably the whole world is made out of pizza as far as I'm concerned. At least inside of the restaurant definitely is. I've got pizza Legos hanging up outside. I got a pizza clock. It's fucking Pizza Palace. Which, there's a Pizza Palace that opened in my town. Well, not in my town necessarily, but I guess in the town that I live in, but not the town that my pizzeria is in. And so I haven't been there, but it's an interesting name, Pizza Palace, because I didn't want it to be gimmicky when I named my pizzeria. I started with looking up like Italian words for Sunday dinner, and what I ended up processing through, it was like, not Cena Domingo, that's Spanish, but it was something silly like that, like very, very plain, you know. So I was like, family dinner, dinner from family, and that was, I just ended up on like from family, because like you're already, the implied concept is that you're coming here for dinner, like approximately, you know, so you know that you're getting dinner from family. But that was the selling point, was, you know, from my family to yours, and the origins of like the recipes being family heirlooms, and from, you know, people who were close to me who taught me how to do this stuff, you know, but also going through and learning the science of it myself. Because if you, Bruce Lee said this, if you are too natural, you're very unscientific, and if you're too scientific, you're almost a mechanical man. And nobody wants to be either one of those, because it's imbalanced, you know, and that harmony, that's what we need. And I mean, that obviously we're going into Torah, because always praise Yah, but that is kind of the concept biblically, is, which, you know, inclusive of Messiah, because otherwise you don't have the atonement for sins and the forgiveness, and, you know, at least without the sacrifice and blah blah blah. We can go into that at a later time. But the balance being that you have to do good, be good, but also be yourself. And when you set the center focus of your life as that goodness, as that righteousness, as that like with God as the center. I'm not going to say theocratically because I hate that word, because it's not about theology. Like, theology is studying gods. There's a difference. Like, you could study gods. Like, you could just go study fucking false god Apostle or false god Zeus or false god Gaia or whatever small g false god you choose. But you're not really studying the real Elohim, Yahuwah, praise Yahuwah. You're getting to know him, right? So it'd be like you wouldn't study your wife. You would study like a textbook, like an inanimate object, like an object without significance. But a significant being, like, I don't know, the one that created everything. That being is not studied. That being is relational. And so you get to know him and you talk to him and you know, make him the center of your life. That, you know, like if you have kids, you know, okay, time for soccer practice. Gotta wake them up, get them to school. Gotta feed them. Gotta do this, gotta do that. Like, that's the center of your life. And it's a justifiable center if you're at that stage in your life. And even if you are, you know, be fruitful and multiply, and if you're just letting the kid fend for itself, then you're not really parenting. You're not, like, doing what Elohim wants you to do for the kid. Which is why the world is the way that it is today, because parents aren't parenting. And so, you know, we've got the circles within circles within circles, but the proximal outreach to a child is its parents, and then subsequently the family, the older siblings, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, preferably. We've done completely away with the multi-generational housing. They love that. I mean, man, fucking the fact that Dick's was offering $4,000 for abortions, it's like you went from a giant hunting retailer to let's abort people. And it's like, yeah, I haven't shopped at Dick's. I will not shop at Dick's. I don't fuck with that. And it's like, if you want to abort, you're fucking, like, have at it, bro. Because I am not your keeper. I can tell you that it's wrong, and then you can go do it anyway, and that's on your head. But the difference is that you shouldn't be advertising it, you know? Like, that shouldn't be a sticking point. Well, I'm gonna go work here because I can get an abortion. It's like, okay, whore. Even like that chick that was fucking in Israel, they paraded her around. Well, let's look at what Yahuwah Elohim hates. And trust me, I've committed many of these atrocities, so I'm not necessarily just bagging on a dead woman, because that ain't cool. But I am going to point out that she was a tattoo artist at a rave on Shabbat, half naked already, you know what I mean? Like, so what's the fucking difference? But point being that that Elohim hates all that shit. And so, is it a heck of an allegory that there was a half-naked tattoo artist defiling Shabbat on, like, you know, as the paraded dead woman? No. That's what Elohim's going to do to the church. It's coming. Like, that's the perfect allegory, you know? It's sad, it's terrible that she was the example made, but she was the example made. And, you know, the argument could be made that that was obviously her addendum, her path, because that's where she ended up, in the, you know, perfect representation of where Elohim wanted her. So, you know, that's one thing that I mean, I don't have figured out. I don't think I'm ever going to figure out. I'm sure that there's nobody on earth who can accurately, that's a short play, who can accurately, you know, assess the entirety of that, as far as the, like, did she go to heaven? Did she not go to heaven? Did Judas go to heaven? Like, he gave up Yeshua, but he had to. You know what I mean? So, like, it was ordained in, I believe, Isaiah? That could be wrong. But it was ordained that he would be sold for 30 pieces of silver, which is what Judas did. And so it already, like, it was, and that he would be murdered by his brothers, the Yehudim, and sure, so, like, you can make the argument that he did exactly what God needed him to do. What God needed him to do. Does that make him good and righteous? I don't know. You know, so is she in heaven? Is she in hell? I don't know. It's neither here nor there to me. Because I don't necessarily even believe in heaven or hell like that. You know, and that's a deeper conversation that we're going to have to do from, like, the start of a batch of dough, because this is a half batch of dough. But, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to make the point that Yahoo is coming. And he's telling us, and if you want to listen, and if you don't, then I don't give a fuck, because I'll be fine, because I listened. At least, fucking hopefully, right? And part of my listening is telling you, and, you know, like, I'm not telling you fucking a date, but, like, come on. Look around you, you know? Jehovah's Witnesses, they like to use Timothy as a, like, juxtaposition of identifying the end of times. I don't think we should focus on identifying the end of times, because that's not, like, gonna serve us, because, you know, like, we don't have control over that, we don't have say in it, we don't have a morphism in it, you know, we are subject to it. It's like time, you know, like, time is a very difficult facet of life to transcend, and I think it's best done just without weight on it. Like, it's like you don't have to be at, praise Yahweh, when you're moving with the Spirit, you don't have to be at this place at this time. You just will get to this place at this time because you're supposed to be at this place at this time. And there's nuances there as far as, like, the responsibility of your physical self needing to be here, the discipline action will be taken, and the moving of the Spirit, that you're in the proper place, the alignment, recreating the alignment with Elohim, and that only happens by moving with the Spirit, and that's really the only context of Galatians 5:18 is that if you are in the Spirit, you are not under Torah. Well, how do you do that? Because shouldn't you have to be under Torah to be in the Spirit? Well, yeah, kind of, but so the way that I created an analogy to it is like when you're talking to somebody, you know, there's that awkwardness of, like, what are we talk about, you know, and, like, maybe some of you don't go out and talk to people. I talk to people all fucking day because of my fucking job. But you get to meet a lot of people, and it becomes a skill that you develop. And so if any of you need practice talking to people, go get a fucking counter job at a retail store. And yeah, it's gonna suck, but you need to learn it, because communication, networking, and not only that, but, like, if, like, mushrooms use their mycelium to allow the trees to have a neural network and communicate, you know, and it's not like you know, full-on conversations like, hey Jim, how's it going over there in Oakland? Like, you know, okay, all right, maple fucking Steve, whatever the shit, you know. But to that same degree, humans are, you know, like, we need that network, we need that web of woven stability among us, that you know, like, I've created this pizzeria that now I'm in a spot where people will just show up and hang out. And that's really cool to me because I never had that, you know, like, I sold a lot of dope when I was a kid, and I didn't want people showing up. Like, nobody was, you're like, you can't just show up there, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? And I was it taught me to be secretive, taught me to be in the dark. It taught me that, you know, when you're literally living a life that, when exposed, will create more confinement, like, you have that is a hole that you can't really dig yourself out of unless you get the fuck out of it, you know? But anyway, you got to bring your shit to light. One of the exercises that I'd done at one point was bearing your nakedness, you know? It's like, and I told a guy too to do this, and he's like, I got mirrors all over my house. I don't want to see myself naked. You think God wants to see it? I'm like, no, God doesn't want to see it, but you need to be able to look at it, because if you can't look at it, you can't put yourself on display for others. And I'm not saying go be a naked model. I'm just saying, in the fucking bathroom, take a minute, relax, and check yourself out, you know? It's okay if you don't like what you see. Slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. 1 pound at a time. 1 love handle at a time. 1 nose hair at a time. You get it. And it's the same with shaping the soul. So, that's a batch of dough. Like I said, got this little guy here. Bless y'all. Praise y'all.